This is Joe again with another movie review. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the 1989 film Parenthood. It was directed by Ron Howard and starred Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, Jason Robards, Mary Steve Burgeon, who didn't star in this movie. That's a big question. Diane Reese, Tom Hulce from Amadeus, Martha Plimpton, and even saw Keanu Reeves in this movie, believe it or not. And there's only one or two decent roles the guy ever had. The other one being in Bill and Ted. Like I said, this is Parenthood, and this is a movie that it's kind of like what they used to call a serial comedy. Half serious and half comedy. They do have plenty of comedic moments mixed in with a lot of serious stuff about how tough it is to be going through parenthood, being a decent parent. And Seymour got the top billing for some reason, and he has three kids. One kid who has I guess you can say emotional problems. He wasn't actually physically diagnosed with anything as far as I remember from the film. It's just that uh, he had enough of anything that anything goes wrong, like in school, because he meets his teacher and his principal, and he says, "Hey, look, every time something goes wrong in class, or he has trouble with another student, he goes into a fit, he breaks that, he has a breakdown, and we may consider putting him into special ed because he's a quote unquote trouble kid." Then you have Rick Moranis is probably like the super nerd, and his kid is probably the trained teachers can have like a super genius like him, and Rick Moranis' wife was a third ballot. Then you had Diane Reese, whose daughter played with Martha Plimpton, ends up fooling around with her boyfriend, played by Keanu Reeves, and ends up getting pregnant and marries the guy. In the film. Then you have Tom Hulce playing another son who's not married, but he has a black child by a black woman. He met in Vegas, and he's trying to convince Jason Robards, his father, to get another money to go to another business because this guy is like Tom Hulce character is like a born loser. When he tries out, he never works out, and he was involved with some thugs or something, and who eventually leaves his black kid, a legitimate black kid, with Jason Robards' character. And the kid has a crazy name like Carl or crazy name the kid has. Um, there's and of course Jason Robards is being like the patriarch of this thing of this family, and trying to balance all these different storylines in this film, which is kind of cool. At first they keep like switching from family to family and storyline to storyline, and I thought it was a pretty good film. And of course, there's one particular scene was of course pretty famous. The scene where uh, Seymour, because it's supposed Seymour's son, what I mentioned previously with the emotional problems, supposed to have like this uh, child entertainment who's like a cowboy who does balloon animals and entertains the kids and these various birthday parties. Unfortunately, the company that provides this cowboy guy to the party screwed it up. Instead of saying the cowboy, sent a stripper instead. Unfortunately, the stripper did not see any of the kids, and then do a striptease for the kids, which I think would have been A, funny, and B, bet your parent goes home and complain that hey, this family hired a stripper for his 8-year-old kid's birthday or something. I mean, it was most likely going to be a mistake if they actually show it. But this movie was a PG-13 movie and or an R-rated film. But of course, This kid actually, Seymour's son actually does the stupid diarrhea song that I knew back in the fifth grade. You know, like you're sitting in your Chevy, your shirt's gonna find a heavy and diarrhea, and he does this bit like little rhymes with the diarrhea song. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous and disgusting at the same time. And also has a bit where the son was on the little league team, the Seymour coaches, and another parent complains, "Hey, why is your kid playing? It's not my kid. He's only playing because you're the coach of the team." And there's one game where he makes an error and the main one scores, and the kid shouldn't be. And one of the parents complains, "Oh, the kid shouldn't be playing." And of course, in the next game, the kid plays. He actually does make the catch. Uh, because the father told his son, "Hey, look, you better go after everything, otherwise this kid's going to screw it up." And the kid was going after it and almost screwed up the play because not Seymour's kid, but this other kid storms out and almost messed it up because he wanted to catch the final out and not allow Seymour's son to make the catch. But long story short, the kid Seymour's son does make the catch and he almost drops it because the kid collided with him. And of course, he ends up, making the play and winning the game, and or winning the final play. Um, but of course, as the movie goes on, you have this whole intermixing of stories, and if it does focus on one particular family or two families, I think it would be fine. But it did like I think 4 or 5 different interlocking stories in this thing. Uh, but surprisingly, it actually did pretty well. Ron Howard did pretty well with all these different interconnecting stories, and the parents trying to is more instead of being focused on the kids, which they kind of do from time to time in the film, but mostly focused on the parents trying to control, not really control, but it's trying to control situations that the kids face on a daily basis. And Diane Reese's character, one interesting thing, and the son, Diane Reese her character has a son, and for some reason he did not want to live with her. He didn't like her or want to live with the father instead of the mother. Because the mother, or Diane Reese's character, always trashes the father, saying, "Hey, look, your father left me. He left us. He left me for a younger mom, and or he traded me in for a younger model, and so the guy doesn't even want you to live with them." And the kid says, "Look, I want to live with Dad instead of living with you." I said, "Okay, if you feel that way, call your dad and see what he says." And of course, which of course he did, and the father didn't want the kid to live with him. So what the kid does was trash his father's office. His father's gonna be a dentist, and he trashes the office. And his mother says, "Why did you trash your father's office?" "Because I want to live with him, and he doesn't want me." So he took out all that frustration on the father because, "Hey, I want to live with you. I don't want to live with mom anymore." And then, of course, the mother found out that the kid actually had porn in the house. Uh, the kid somehow got porn. I don't know how in the hell this kid got a couple of porno movies. Uh, and it was from the father or from another classmate or whoever it was. I don't think it was really explained, but he got porn in the house. The mother found out because she was always curious what's in this brown paper bag that the kid has, and she found it in his house, in his room, and found out he's got porn in the house. And Keanu Reeves gives the same advice. He said, "Look, all kids were curious about it." I think Keanu Reeves' character was the one giving the porn. Uh, because he was keep asking about it. And because he is curious about this stuff, we should have a discussion with the kid. Instead of that good discussing this type of stuff. I feel that you should, because you see, you're being the mother, you should discuss this stuff. with him, and he's been very frustrated. Had a lot of frustrations going on, and that was that particular storyline. But as a whole, I think it was like I said, a pretty good family film, and it did make two television shows out of this movie. The very first one, which aired, I think, like about a year. I think it was like in the same year or the year after this movie came out, and that show turned out to be a bust. But then more recently on NBC, I think it's like for 5 or 6 years, the show is giving us a motorcycle going by my house. Uh, there was another show on NBC which a few months ago, just in the last episode, I think it's called like Ray Romano's on that show, and that got pretty high praise. And I think it was on the air for about 5 or 6 years, and that was to the critics. I haven't watched an episode of that show, but I didn't realize there was a show based on a movie. Um, but that was a pretty successful show of this film, and I think originally Ron Howard wanted to make a television show out originally, and they went the feature film. And then around the same time, like I said, around the same time, the original television show came on the air, and that would turn to be a bust. Uh, but the second Parenthood show turned out to be more successful. Ratings wise and by the critics, it was a much better version. But this is when uh, the mo- the show's got the premise from this movie, and it is a little bit over 2 hours. I think 2 hours and 6 minutes, but it's well worth watching it. And because of, I think it has to do more of the cast. You have a whole bunch of veteran actors in this film, uh, which in most of Ron Howard's films, at least most of the films that he did during the '80s, uh, other than Cocoon, which they haven't done a review on, but other than Cocoon, and maybe some of his later on movies. Uh, maybe really those movies in the '80s have this type of a cast in it, which you have a whole. Just about every single actor was a feminine actor. Cocoon he did that because he had to have some older actors in it, and he did a great job in Cocoon as well. Which, if you ever see the movie again on television someplace, they don't have the movie itself on video or DVD. Um, that movie was also very good. I recommend the first one and the second movie of Cocoon. But Parenthood I recommend a lot because of I would say more of the actors in this film. Uh, when the internet storylines, they don't focus a lot on some characters. Like the Rick Moranis character, I don't feel that Seymour is pretty much stole the soul. As most of the focus of this film is mostly on him and his kid who has the emotional problems. But I feel that most of the because it's only a 2 hour 6 minute movie. But I feel this movie is a hell of a lot better than the movie I previously reviewed, which was Boyhood. I thought Boyhood was a piece of crap. This movie was a whole lot better, a whole lot tighter of a script, and much tighter with the ending, and didn't go all that long in the particular subplots. They skipped around a lot, but at least it was constantly going to one storyline to the next, and then back again, and didn't skip like Boyhood did. Because I thought Boyhood was boring as shit. This movie would not be bored at all. So that's my review of the 1989 movie Parenthood. Please click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And also you can check out my other videos not only on my YouTube channel, but also on rallyc.com. That's ROWDY, the letter C.com. And you also can check out the Rally Reviewers review with Christine Moore, the Rally Reviewer, doing the TV trash, which she does a great job with. I highly recommend you check out his videos because they're fun to watch, they're entertaining. He brings up good shows to trash. And these episodes, television shows and episodes and cartoons that, for one reason or another, deserve to be trashed. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.